Assalamualaikum. We are Group 8 and will be presenting the topic Rukun Negara as Federal Constitution's Preamble. Here are the name lists of our presenters for this topic. Without further ado, let's see the overview of this presentation. This presentation will cover 4 subtopics, which are Introduction, Causes to incorporate Rukun Negara into the Federal Constitution, Effects of the incorporation, and Conclusion.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Noor Aisha binti Siddiq. My metric number is 056655.
For introduction, I, Siti Noor Aisha, metric number 056655, will be presenting. What is Preamble? A preamble is an introductory statement in a document that explains the document's philosophy and objectives. In a constitution, it presents the intention of its framers, the history behind its creation, and the core values and principles of the nation. Formulation of Rukun Negara. The national principles was declared on 31st August 1970 to commemorate the 13th anniversary of the independence of Malaysia. It was introduced following the May 13 incident in 1969, which weakened unity among the races in Malaysia. It was formed with the main purpose of forming a strong unity. The objectives of Rukun Negara. Malaysia nurtures the ambitions of achieving and fostering better unity amongst the society by preserving a democratic way of life, creating a society where the prosperity of the country can be enjoyed together in fair and equitable manner. Also ensures a liberal approach towards the rich and varied cultural traditions and building a progressive society that will make use of science and modern technology. The principles of Rukun Negara. The first principle is belief in God. Nation and the state was created based on a strong belief in God. The Federal Constitution declared that Islam is the official religion of the Federation, but other religions and beliefs can be practiced in freedom and tranquility. The second principle is loyalty to king and country. Malaysia practices a system of constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy with His Majesty the King as head of state. Loyalty to king and country means that every citizen should be devoted, faithful, honest, and sincere to His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. The third principle is the supremacy of the Constitution. This principle pressing need for people to accept, obey, and defend the Constitution of the country. Constitution is the highest legal source. Its function is to provide protection to every citizen of this country because of their privileges and rights as citizens in this country. The fourth principle is the rule of law. Justice based on the rule of law where all citizens are equal before the law in the country. Fundamental freedoms are guaranteed to all citizens of Malaysia. The last principle is courtesy and morality. These 5 principles emphasize the development of one's personality and behavior of the people. The aim is to form citizens' courtesy and manners in the line with the campaign Courtesy and Noble Values conducted. Individual nature of courtesy and manners are the most important and meaningful in the elements of relationships with other various races within the country. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Duan Yuan Yuan. My metric number is 056039. Today I would like to present on the topics of causes to incorporate Rukun Negara into further constitution as preamble. Rukun Negara has been marginalized due to the national leadership from the 18th onwards has shown little commitment to the national ideology. Rukun Negara was not given serious attention until its meaning and spirit was lost to the people, according to Tan Sri Lilande. Especially the leaders of government are the ones who breaking and ignore the principles of Rukun Negara. For instance, recently our plantation, industrial and commodities minister Muhammad Khairuddin Ahmad Lazali, who had floated the mandatory home quarantine order by the government to control the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic upon his return from Turkey during the Malaysia's Recovery Movement Control Order. He can be said to have ignored the fourth principle of Rukun Negara, which is rule of law. The next causes to incorporate Rukun Negara into the federal constitution as preamble is the objective and principles of the Rukun Negara are inclusive. The Rukun Negara can serve the constitution in three dimensions, which are providing the overarching ideals of unity, serving as the guiding principle in interpreting constitutional provisions, and providing a substantive confirmation to the law. Indeed, the insertion of Rukun Negara into federal constitution as preamble will not limit or diminishing any provision in the constitution itself, as they are mutually binding. For examples, the first principle of Rukun Negara, which is belief in God, is honored in Article 3 and 11. The loyalty to the king and the country is mandated by countless provisions, including Articles 32 to 38. Then, the rules of law is implied in Article 4 and 128 of the provisions for the judicial review of government action. Next, the supremacy of the Constitution of Rukun Negara is laid down in Article 4 of the Federal Constitution. Lastly, the courtesy and morality shows in the Article 10 and 11 of Federal Constitution, where the Parliament had passed laws to safeguard morality.
Hi, my name is Aisha binti Zulkifli. My number matrix is 056486.
Another causes of Rukun Negara as the preamble, which is become more relevant, I will split it in three ways. Firstly, the philosophy of unity embedded within the Rukun Negara is essential to cultivate ethnic harmony, which has been continually tested throughout the country's history. Many pointed towards the Malayan Union controversy in 1946 as the turning point that marked the heightening of ethnic consciousness and nationalism among the various ethnic groups in Malay Peninsula. The second one is, in terms of economic disparity, the Rukun Negara's philosophy of a just society is an essential guiding principle. The far-reaching economic gap between the indigenous and non-indigenous populations continues to be a significant concern, and then prolonged economic inequality is known to breed prejudice within the society. The incident witnessed the suspension of the constitution and the formation as the caretaker government to restore order and peace. In addition to Rukun Negara, the new economic policy was also introduced to reduce the economic disparity, ensure a fairer and more equitable distribution. Then, the third one is the Rukun Negara as a preamble will significantly assist in interpreting the federal constitution. In this matter, the Rukun Negara can serve in three dimensions, which is providing the overarching ideas of unity, serving as the guiding principle, and then providing a substantive confirmation to the law. Then move to the substantive causes or back causes regarding Rukun Negara as the preamble. To add Rukun Negara as the preamble, it will cause confusion as to the intention of our founding fathers who was drafted our constitution that was guided by the Red Commission set up in 1956 in the run-up to independence in 1957. The context, community and national landscape in 1957 was different when Rukun Negara was presented in the aftermath of May 13, which was intended to serve as an ideology. Then, if Rukun Negara is added as a preamble, it will never able to reflect the intention and desire of the founders, since such intention is usually written when a constitution is drafted. Apart from that, by incorporating Rukun Negara as preamble, it becomes unfair to the origin drafters of the constitution beside the input and the vision from our founding fathers. There was some arguments and question about Rukun Negara was added as preamble. Some of the question is, would Rukun Negara serve as ceremonial preambles? Then would Rukun Negara was not regarded as integral part of the law of constitution? So I will show some case regarding the issue of Rukun Negara as a preamble. The first cases is between Sergeant Singh against State of Rajasthan. It was held that preamble indicates source of the constitution. The other case is between Golanath against State of Punjab. It was held that this constitution is a key to open the mind of the makers of the constitution. Then the third case is between Railway Union against exchange of enclaves. It was held that the preamble is not a part of the constitution.
Hello everyone, I am Ling Yifeng, who is a member of Group 8. My matric number is 056036.
Now, I will be presenting about the effects of incorporation of national principles as a preamble of federal constitution. Firstly, it will strengthen the meaning of the key provisions of our constitution. The principle of belief in God emphasized on Articles 3 and 11 of the Constitution, which stated the freedom to profess the religions among non-Muslims without obstacles or limitations, as long as they do not violate the rules. Loyalty to king and country is corresponded with certain provisions including Articles 32 to 38, which are mostly related to the sovereignty and roles of our paramount ruler, YDPA, and Conference of Rulers. Third principle, which stated supremacy of the Constitution, is provided in Article 4, since this article upheld the superiority of the Constitution, which cannot be preceded by other law or authorities. Rules of law has been implied by provisions in respect of judicial review of governmental action in Articles 4 and 128. Courtesy and morality is safeguarded by granting the power to Parliament in Articles 10 and 11 to enact laws to prohibit everyone in the Federation from doing something contrary to public morality or decency. The second effect is to guide the courts and other institutions of justice in making unbiased and just decisions. Its philosophy of a just society is in line with Article 8 of the Constitution, which expressly stipulated that everyone is equal before the law and should be treated impartially regardless of their social status, races, and gender. G25 opined that the policymaker, administrators, and law enforcement authorities can refer to the fundamental principles and objectives laid down in national principles as a guidance to make the proper decisions, which will bring tremendous contribution to the society. Human rights activists and the public can also allude to its principles to seek for fairness and reduce the disparity in the social and economic policies of the government and the enforcement of the civil and religious laws. Next, inclusion of national principles enhances the social structure and social organization in society. The first principle of belief in God is crucial because our country was established on the basis of a strong religious belief. Loyalty to king and country means that every citizen has the obligation to act truthfully and sincerely to the king who rule the states where they reside without reducing their allegiance to the YDPA. Supremacy of the Constitution indicates that the Constitution is the highest legal source of our country, and all Malaysian citizens are required to respect, appreciate, and apprehend the meaning and historical background of the formation of federal constitution. Rules of law implies that justice is upheld based on the prescribed laws because all citizens are equal before the law. The last principle plays a vital role since the individual nature of courtesy and manners are important
to bolster the relationship with various races within the country. However, such incorporation will lead to confusion among the public regarding the true intention of the drafter of the Constitution based on the opinion of Jackson Leung Seng-yi. Generally, the intention of the founders of a nation will be declared in a preamble regarding the purpose of drafting the Constitution and their aspiration to be achieved through the Constitution. Incorporation of national principles as the preamble will make the public confused about the intention of our founding fathers who drafted our constitution guided by the Red Commission. It will unable to express the real intention and desire of the founders, since such intention should be written when a constitution is drafted in 1957, but not after a lapse of 63 years. It becomes unfair to the original drafters of the Constitution and subsequently affects the vision from the founding fathers, including our former prime ministers, which never expressed national principles to form as a preamble of the Constitution. Lastly, Tun Abdul Hamid Mohamad was of the opinion that some objectives and principles of national principles might frustrate the rights conferred by certain articles in the Constitution if they are incorporated as a preamble. The preamble of the Constitution seems to challenge all laws and regulations that give priorities to the Malays and natives of Sabah and Sarawak in all fields. Particularly, the third objective of the national principles, creating a just society in which the wealth of the nation shall be equitably shared, may be used to challenge Article 153 of the Constitution, which grants privileges to the Malays and natives of East Malaysia. Less insertion of the preamble will give an opportunity to those who are currently dissatisfied with the provisions of the Constitution and the existing laws to put forward such an agreement that certain articles are not consistent with the preamble of the Constitution.
Good evening, madam. My name is Vipating. My metric number is 056127.
Conclusion: the incorporation of the Rukun Negara as a preamble to the Constitution will not undermine federal constitution. In fact, incorporation of the Rukun Negara will help to strengthen the meaning of the key provisions of our Constitution. Besides, it will help to guide the courts and other institutions of justice in making unbiased and just decisions and enhances the social structure and social organization in society. In our opinion, incorporation of Rukun Negara in the federal constitution will not diminish or limit any provision in the constitution itself. This is because all the provisions contained in the constitution are interrelated and mutually binding. The provisions cannot be read in isolation and without comprehensively viewing the document.